at any point of time, you won't have a lot of competitors around you to fight for the same buyer. This is the time that you should be confident to push up your price to another record high.
Hi, this is Gary from Second Property Investor. Previously, I mentioned how is Bishan HDB selling higher than Punggol HDB. I noticed one big thing that is regularly happen in the resale market. Owners are selling their HDB too cheap without knowing how to push up the price. I don't know if I should feel happy for the buyer or I should feel sad for the seller. But it just happened this way. Let's have a look at some example I have today, and from there you can see how to protect yourself from selling your house too cheap.
From the first example, you can see that there's 3 transactions in the same block from September 2020, April 2021 and May 2021. Started from 583k, dropped to 555k, then back to 590k. Actually, I really feel sad for this 555k owner. Maybe it is a older HDB with no renovation done, but the price gap really a bit wasted. Should have pushed much higher. How come they are selling at much cheaper price than September 2020? It is really impossible. Cause from this chart, you can see there is a 3.1% increase in fourth quarter 2020 and there is a 3% increase in 2021 first quarter. Can you see from here? It is a very sharp jump. Cause the price really went up a lot, and how can we sell cheaper than the previous transaction when the market is moving up? When we open up the surrounding, we will get to see, example, there are units here selling at 610. Maybe it is a bigger unit, but we can always try to associate it with the unit that we are selling. If not, we can see there will be 585k here, 580k here, and 583k here. Too many reference to take association with, and they are all very nearby. All you need to do is align the buyer's perceived value with you and you can push up the price immediately. Next, we will go to Clementi. Same thing happened. How to sell cheaper than 7 to 9 months ago. Look at the previous chart. It is a 7.6% difference in terms of pricing. If we are talking about differences in renovation, that is why I always suggest to do some extreme makeover, packing, to make sure that the house is ready before we push up to the market. This is some of the unit I'm marketing. It is very appealing to the buyer when they first see it. No complaints about it. And for Clementi, when I dig further into the research, I even more heart pain. How can someone sell at 610k? End up, we will see people selling at 568k and 555k. And if you notice, in this area, there is not many transactions here, which means at any point of time, you won't have a lot of competitors around you to fight for the same buyer. This is the time that you should be confident to push up your price to another record high. Next, we will head down to Fatt Rd. Last year, June, it is sold at 650. Today, March 2021, it is cheaper, 642, 628, followed by 618. This is walking distance to Red Hill MRT. Pure looking at this page, you might be thinking, prices is coming down. But trust me, it is not. 7.6% in 2 to 3 quarters. It is still very hot. Look at the surrounding. We got 735k, 711k, and 680k. These are all the reference we can take when we are selling. It is really wasted if we don't do all this while we are selling. So now, have a look at an example that I did recently at Simei. This is my personal example. I sold at 595k. So once I get the listing, the first thing I do is I will open up a transaction like this and see how come other people are selling so much higher. Example, 580, 560, 595, and there is a lot more. Then I open up the map to see the pros and cons involved in all these locations. From there, I'll try my best to find out the negative side of those high transaction and find the positive side of the unit I am marketing. You have to convince yourself before you can convince others. In the end, 595k from here. I look at this chart, still record high price the moment when I am selling this unit. But of course, after I sold the unit with this transaction in the whole table as a reference and moving market, I am overtake not long after I sold this unit.
From here, you can see that many people get it all wrong when coming to sell their HDB. I am not an expert, but I do a bit more detailed research to make sure seller is much more protected. This will give my seller the best possible selling price. This is not always possible, but I will do my best to do the research to make it happen. It is always good to know what position you are in order to help yourselves from it. Remember, I once shared before, we will never make money that is beyond our knowledge, unless it all happens by luck. But when it happens by luck, there will be 101 ways to take this money away from us. Maybe this is just one of the ways. That is why I always upgrade myself to make sure I'm able to protect more people with the knowledge I have. Remember, I'm always here to bridge up the information gap between the market and the consumer. That's all I have for today. I will see you all real soon. Bye bye.